Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of BizTalks, conversations with industry innovators. Today, we're going to talk to you about the power of branding, and we're going to focus on aspects of marketing to recognize your business. My name is Wayne Diggs. I'll be your host today. I am an assistant faculty for business at El Paso Community College. I work primarily at the Rio Grande campus, and again, I do teach business and a variety of subjects related to that. Have a special guest today that I will introduce to you in just a second, Mr. Ruben Alvarez, who is definitely a marketing innovator, an industry leader. And at this point, I would like for Ruben to share a little bit about yourself and what you do in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on the show. As you mentioned, I'm the founder of the Marketing Hunters. It's a marketing company that we have developed and innovated into a business that helps a lot of other businesses gain and have momentum in either the local area or through digital mediums. And we focus on having campaigns that really get the desired result that the person in charge of the business or the campaign is really looking for. And so the reason I say that is because we originally started only in what was digital. And then we realized that within the last few years, running an ad wasn't as effective. So we started going into what's influencer marketing. And then that kind of started veering off a little bit. So we're like, what really gets people to a place in person or through the door? And so we've been doing a lot more event marketing. And so what we really try to focus on is kind of like what's in the name, right? The Marketing Hunters is really hunting down that thing that's going to work for a business when it comes to marketing or advertising.
So I think most people understand how critical marketing is for a business. Can you share some aspects of why it's so critical? It's obviously one of the things that we talk about in our classrooms as well. But from a practical standpoint, what makes marketing so critical for small businesses or businesses in general?
You know, it depends on the marketing medium that they're going to choose. But I've always explained it in a way that people can understand, which is if you have a business and you're the business owner and you get sick, who is now making sure that there is additional revenue coming into the business? No one. So you're not really allowed to be sick. And so when it comes to marketing, it's the same concept that you have a medium in which allows more people to find out about your business, to hear about your business, and have leads incoming into your business without you really having to do much work. And so if you were trying to go out there and door knock, right, how much time and energy does that really take you to have to go, one, drive to the place that you're going to go, knock on the door. Let's say that you have a 2-minute conversation to find out that somebody's not interested. That's all time being spent that you had to utilize. But if you use marketing mediums, then at that point you can print 500 flyers at once and send them out at the same time to reach those people to have that mini conversation for you, and they determine whether or not they want to buy that product or service, which doesn't require much time or energy on your end.
Wonderful. You know, often people talk about positioning themselves in a market. Is there any insight that you could share about positioning a brand in a market? And then, of course, how to find your niche in a market?
Yeah, I mean, the most textbook way that we can answer that we can break it down out afterwards is the whole SWOT analysis, right? Where you see strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. And you look at your brand and you say, here's what we're really good at, here's what we're weak at, here's opportunities that we have, but here's really the threats. Here's where people could take away from us. When you do that, you have to look at all the competition at that point, because you really have to know what you're strong and weak at, and you have to know where the opportunities and threats lie. And so once you start looking at the competition, you get to really understand how they're different from you. You're like, oh, I didn't understand that we actually offer delivery in 2 days and everybody else does 3, and there's only one person that does 3. Nobody else even does free shipping, right? So when you look at that, that's what really allows you to position yourself differently, especially I feel within the last 10, 14 years with social media becoming really big, the personal brand became a thing. And we were on this room in Clubhouse in which they were talking about how personal brand in the 70s wasn't really a thing, right? It was, you would go on stages and people would get to know you and they would know the business and people still knew you, but it wasn't something that you were really trying to acquire. So personal brand now has become something that is very, very easy for people to isolate themselves, such as if you're in solar, right? We had somebody that was calling themselves like the solar cowboy is what it was, right? Uh-huh. And so that solar cowboy has a business, the business is attached to the solar cowboy, and it makes it easier to have multiple different ways to disassociate and identify yourself and create that niche.
Wonderful. So obviously you're talking about differentiation and how to differentiate yourself within a specific market. What are some pitfalls that you would advise business owners to be aware of and perhaps avoid?
Yes. There are two that are kind of contradictory to each other, but that everybody should know. One is this whole idea of staying on brand. And most people don't realize that the real goal of marketing is to get somebody to do a certain action that you want them to do. Because if you're a nonprofit, we can't always say it's sales, right? If you're a nonprofit, you're not really going for sales. You might go for registrations. You might go for something. Right. But the whole point is to convert that person into the thing that you want them to do. So when you stay on brand, we see a lot of big corporations that are still staying very, very professional, where you see Wendy's and you see Duolingo. Like, I think that people are like, oh, Wendy's is a fast food. Duolingo is a very, very professional company. You look at their marketing, they're really trying to get more Gen Z and millennials to go onto the app to learn new languages. So they're doing a lot of marketing that has nothing to do with the app itself, but everything that has to do with getting the attention of those people so that then they convert into app users. So that's one thing, is staying too much on brand and not being able to have too much fun because it's not professional, right? The second one is going too far away from your brand and knowing that you are a app company, but then you speak 100% of, TikTok dances and stuff and never try to talk the language of you should use our app. Right. And so there's a lot of companies that then go too far and they start doing everything to entertain that customer base and get the attention, but never really ask them to do anything. And so then they go, the marketing doesn't work. See, like we're doing all the dances, we're doing all the fun stuff, but it never works because there was never a secondary part that said, once we have them, this is what we're going to do to actually make them do the action that we want them to do.
Ruben, does that fall under the realm of understanding target audience? And if not, can you elaborate?
Yeah, absolutely. We were just talking about this because every platform has something different, right? And if we could do a really, really quick breakdown of every platform, it's Facebook has an older demographic, but it's the place where most conversions happen. Like if you're really trying to sell something today or get an action, people will take action on Facebook. It's been primed that way, just through ads, through the way that people talk, through the way that they interact, and the way that the platform is. That's just the way Facebook is. Instagram is very good for credibility, but it's a lot of vanity and people don't buy on there. So you can have a lot of followers, but they want to see a very perfect, well put out form that you look on that platform. The ads do convert at some point, but it's a very specific type of ad. It's not very easy. TikTok, you have to entertain people and it doesn't always convert. And if you do, you're selling shirts, you're selling pens, you're selling something very easy that make people go, I like this person, but I'm not going to spend more than $20, right? LinkedIn is an older demographic. I feel as though you have to write in a very specific corporate way that hits the emotions, and sometimes it's seen as mushy. It's very hard for millennials and Gen Z to get on LinkedIn because they don't speak that language. So if you're trying to go after that demographic, you probably won't find it. But if you're trying to find higher paying clients, you will find them because it's usually like the executives and stuff like that are on there. This is a really funny one. I don't know if you've heard of Threads. It's the competitor that Instagram and Meta put out for X. So Threads, you can post whatever you want without the drama. X, you can post whatever you want with the drama, right? So it's like, if you don't want drama, go on Threads. If you want the drama, go on X. But typically these are just for your thoughts that you want to put out. So people get to really know you on X and Threads because you can post your thoughts. Once you understand the demographics of every single platform out there, like YouTube, sorry, that's the last one. Long form content, high conversions, very hard for people to trust you. It takes a long time to grow an audience because you have to put out so much content. But once you understand all that, you know where you can market and you know exactly what you're trying to market to.
So that's a lot of information for individuals to take in, especially those who are, not really familiar with what's going on in particular fields. So how would you advise small business owners to prioritize their marketing?
Yes, if there'll be two ways. You have money or you have no money. If you have no money, then it's a lot of testing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of testing, and if you want to find resources, there's a lot of YouTube out there that will give you the exact answers that you want when it comes to marketing. The difficult part is the same thing with ChatGPT. You have to know exactly what to ask in order to get the right answer.
Right.
So if you don't know how to ask, what social media platform should I be advertising as a plumbing business, you might just ask, where do I market? And you won't get the right answer, right? So that's the easy way. If I had a budget of $1,000 to $2,000, right? That's all I have as far as marketing. I would go to a marketing company that I think is very reputable and say, hey, I don't think that I really believe in marketing. How do you feel about us going on a 1-month trial? And you teach me some stuff or whatever, and then after the 30 days, I'll see if I want to continue. Very well knowing that I only had $1,000 to $2,000, right? And they go, oh, what's going to be $1,700? Here's your $1,700. I would have them teach me everything for 30 days and then make the rest of the money up that way and have learned the marketing that they have, right? So that way I could market on my own. And once I do have a budget, then hire the marketing company.
Right. And while we're talking about digital presence, you and I had a conversation before the set here,
Yes.
and we were talking about some of the trends that are happening, and we'll talk a little bit more about trends in a little bit. But I'd like for you to share with the audience what we were talking about in terms of individuals who think television advertising versus advertising on a social media platform. So can you readdress that subject?
Yeah, no, I will say that every marketing medium has a specific purpose. The issue with advertising on TV is that they used to have such high reach and such high influence back in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. When the internet came out, that influence started going down. Their prices were here, right? Back then, like they were here, and then this is how much they had. So as this happened, you would think that their prices would kind of either stay the same or they would start lowering because the reach isn't there. Their prices have gone up. So as their influence goes down, the prices keep going up. And that's the issue with it, is that you can take, let's say even $1,000, because it's not $1,000 to advertise on TV.
Right.
But if you take $1,000 and you put it into advertisement in Facebook, you can reach about 300,000 people for that $1,000. And with Facebook's Pixel, you can actually retarget. So once you see the ad once, I can make sure that you see it up to 3 more times. So you can get about twice the amount of people for about half the advertisement cost, and you can retarget them to see the ad 3 or 4 different times for a fraction of the cost that you would on TV.
Wow. So what do you consider to be key elements of a strong online presence?
The biggest one right now is relatability, because as marketing changes, and it is ever changing, the consumer always gets really, really smart as to what an advertisement is. And once they realize what an advertisement is, they start skipping them and the ads become ineffective. And so we see that a lot with billboards, right? Like if you look at a billboard, they're still very relevant. You can have a billboard that says "We fix roofs." That's it. The billboard is just going to be "We fix roof." People will see it. They'll be like, yeah, we've seen the "We fix roofs," right? There's another one that says, "Is this your rotting roof?" And it shows a disgusting roof. That's a little bit more memorable. And it's like, yes, I have seen my roof actually does look a little bit like that, right? The last one says, "Hey El Paso, do you love your city? Buy from us, we sell roofs." They're like, wow, yes, we love El Paso. We should probably go with those people. It looks like they love El Paso. So the advertisement always changes, but that's what really makes a difference in today's market when it comes to like having a really, really strong social presence, is the people that don't seem like they're advertising seem to do the best. And so the reason that they do the best is because the consumer hasn't really understood that they're being sold to yet. They think that social media is still social, which it should be. That's the whole purpose of why it started. It started so that we could all be friends. But we were even talking about this, right? Like once we go fully digital and we start having like the metaverse and everything, ads will follow. Ads are going to follow us every single place that we go to, whatever medium that we're choosing to consume, ads will follow. How do we make people want to use the ad so that way it's effective is always the question.
Gotcha. One of the things that sometimes happens is, negative reviews, negative information materializes online for businesses. Do you have any suggestions for how to deal with or clean that up?
Yeah. There's no real way of taking down a negative review or negative publicity online.
Mm-hmm.
Other than you direct messaging the person and saying, I'm sorry about your experience. What do you need to do? Or what do we need to do to make it right in order for you to change this, right? And so a lot of people don't understand that Google will not take down, even if it was a fake review, you will have such a hard time having somebody have that taken down. It's nearly impossible. Google won't do it. And they don't have the capability to have a team that's just there to say, hey, this is false, then fact check and then do that, right? Like their priority is to make profit,
mm-hmm.
right? So why would they put a priority on helping your business take down a negative review? So Facebook, it's the same. Articles that are online, Reddit sometimes can get taken down if it's defamation, but like you have to have a lot of people talking about that, or if it's your public image and somebody's taking your pictures. Negative reviews, they won't take down threads for that. So it's always almost best to reach out to the customer directly and say, and I know somebody that would do this. They would clean people's cars for $200, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody came in, got their car cleaned. It was immaculate, and they go, no, this is, I'm gonna leave you a negative review and this, and you're a fraud. And he goes, I will give, and it was $200. I will give you $300, and just we'll part ways. We'll stay friends. I'm sorry, if you want me to clean it again, I'll still give you $300 and clean it again. The guy had never had one negative review. So it's like, what is it really worth for you to have your reputation say that you're 5 stars over 10 years, while your competitors have been in business for 20 years, but they're 2.1 because they don't know how to, right? And so there's something about that in the 70s it was big, right? Like your name is everything. And
right.
You shook somebody's hand, and it's like, you would never want to defame somebody because if that would follow you. For some reason, it's very different on the digital world, and people don't believe in negative reviews really harming them, but it's the same thing, like it's your name.
So along those lines, what are your thoughts about companies who utilize or implement review platforms or testimonials into their marketing platforms?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you, I believe that even the easiest way is to always incentivize and to make it seem like you're not asking people to do something for you, right? The same way that you would deal with an ad. If you have very good service and you tell somebody, hey, would you mind leaving us a review? There's like an 80% chance that they won't do it. They'll want to, they'll say yes, but unless you say, hey, give me your phone, I'm gonna scan the QR code, tell me what you wanna write, I'll write it for you, look it over, can I post it now, right? With the exception of that, there's a very high chance that they're going to forget to do it, and it's not very high importance because they paid you for a job and now you're asking for a review, right?
Mm-hmm.
The easiest way is to incentivize them and say, hey, there's a $200 Amazon gift card that we're giving away at the end of every month. And we pick from all of the reviews. Doesn't matter if you leave a review today, doesn't matter if you leave a review next month. We're going to raffle every single month a $200 gift card. Would you like to leave us a review right now to be entered in the raffle? And then have a little plastic card that has a QR code that says, here you go, scan this, make it really easy for them. And they go, yeah, absolutely, we'd love to leave a review. That's a lot easier to do it. However, most people don't get the reviews because it's typically, hey, you just paid me $10,000 for your new roof, for your landscaping, whatever, right? Thank you so much. I'm glad you like it. The payments start next week. How would you like to leave us a review? It's a little difficult. So it's how do you implement it so that people want to do it?
Wonderful. What are your thoughts, Ruben, about influencers and partnerships of any sort to help with branding or marketing? I
love that we have gone to a certain point in which influencers have taken over mass media, because we threw an influencer party here in El Paso, I want to say 2 or 3 months ago at the end of September. Actually, it was on my birthday. That's how I know. So September 22nd, that's when we threw it. I'm not going to say the birthday, but we had a combined 10 million total followers when it comes to all of the influencer accounts, right? When you think of that, that's the power of a TV network, right? Influencers have done something to disrupt what is traditional media. The scary part right now The changing part is that there are now AI influencers that aren't real. So they can have an equal amount. So what influencers did to celebrities and media, because they took celebrities' power that they had all the influence, and now you have regular people who have just as many followers, if not more, than most celebrities. AI influencers are about to take that away from regular influencers. So you might be able to pay somebody who's not a real person. I could have 10 influencer accounts, 5 of men, 5 of women, and you could be paying me to help you promote your product, even though these people aren't real.
Wow. And that actually was a part of one of my next questions. It dealt with artificial intelligence and how that is being used. So are there any other unconventional type techniques that are being used today that you can think of, or something futuristic that should be added?
Not futuristic as much. I don't think that we're quite there with all the new advertising methods, right? Like when the internet came out, I think it took a while before Google started even doing Google ads, right? So we have what's equivalent to the internet right now. We have AR, which is augmented reality, and we have VR, which is virtual reality. That's the metaverse, right? Where people can literally put on the headsets and then they'll be in a different world, or they can virtually be in front of somebody. AR is more like you put on glasses and then you can see, like right now my shoes are black, but I could have Nikes on with these glasses that are like $700 Nikes, and I could be walking around. And if we all have these glasses, guess what? Now we're all in this AR augmented reality, right? So those technologies have been around. It's funny because Snapchat created AR about 6 or 7 years ago. On your phone, I could literally get my phone and have Snapchat, and then Pikachu could be right there. Right? Like it's been forever that like I could take a picture with you with Pikachu there. Pikachu would be moving around. That's what AR is. Right. So the technologies have been there. The problem is that they are not advertising because not enough people are using the technologies. So eventually what will happen is that we will all have glasses on and we'll be walking down and we'll have our phone and we'll be blah, blah, blah. We'll have, Google Maps will be like, hey, I'm coming to visit you at this studio, right? Where's the studio? And the thing will be, hey, go this way. The room's coming up, make a right? It'll tell us all that on the glasses without our phones anymore. But what will also happen is that advertisers will want to get in on this technology. And when they do is it'll be, hey, I know you're going to the EPCC campus. There's a coffee shop right here. They're offering you a 50% off coupon if you stop at the coffee shop. Well, let me go. Hey, I just saw it. Can you use this code EPCO5? Oh, it worked. Okay, cool. And so that's how advertising will happen. But the newest one right now is those influencers. There's a lot of AI tools. The way that ads are being made on social media. Mm-hmm. It used to be that you have to know the exact target demographic. You don't really need to know that anymore. Like a lot of these AI tools that are happening, they know here's your product. You're a roofer. Just hit the button that allows us to find your audience, and it'll find your audience for you.
Any advice for entities that are rebranding?
Ooh, that's a difficult one because the bigger you are and the longer you've been in business, the worse it is for you. Look at Jaguar. Did you see Jaguar?
No.
Okay, Jaguar had the logo, right, with the cat. Right?
Yes.
In the front, and then it was the cat that it was leaping. And so Jaguar right now, they changed their logo and they don't have the cat anymore, and it's just the words. But before they were a very aggressive, only most like manly like type of font. The font now is very bubbly. And so everybody hates it. And then their logo, which was the emblem and the cat, they put a J this way and they put a J upside down. Everybody hates it. Not only that, on their commercial, the people came out. There was no cars in the commercial and it was just models. And almost the entire commercial was pink. People are like, what's going on? So it's difficult to do a rebrand that people hate, right? Because there's so much sentimental value in things. I mean, think of Subway, the $5 footlong. Look how much it's harmed them. Because whatever type of deal or discount that they try to do now, however good it's, you could have a $7 footlong, you can have an $8 footlong. Everybody will always go $5 footlong, right? They were always gonna go back to that. Jared, can you hear me now? Even though he was Verizon and then Sprint took him, you always think of Sprint. So there's so many hard parts of rebranding and doing it correctly without losing the nostalgia and the original customer base, because everybody wants to get these new customers, but they forget about the current customers. Budweiser did something very, very similar in which they did a campaign for new customers, but their current customer base was completely opposite of this new one. So you really have to just look at what is our current customer base? Are we willing to lose them all? Are we trying to grow it? If we're trying to grow it, let's make sure that we don't do anything that's too different that's going to harm us.
Wow. So as we're closing,
Yes.
what are some trends that you believe are shaping the future or even the present
Yes.
of marketing and branding?
I think that collaborations is a big one, especially digital, right? Because I focus so much on digital. There's a lot of stuff that kind of goes in full circle that we could talk about. But in digital, it's a lot of collaborations. There's a specific button that you allow on Facebook, Instagram, and a lot of these other platforms where I say, hey, me and you are going to make a video right now. And you have 1,000 followers that aren't very similar to mine, and I have 2,000 followers. When we post this, I'm not going to add you as a tag anymore. I'm going to add you as a collaborator. Now it gets shown to 3,000 people, not 2,000. It doesn't get shown only to yours, and then we share. So when it comes up on the feed, right, the feed, it's now sharing. And so as we were creating before, as we were marketing, it was one-to-one, right, where it was my company to this one person who's going to see it. Now it can be 2-to-1, it could be 5-to-1, and I think they just upped it to 10-to-1. So you could be sharing 10 different audiences to the one viewer now.
How can the audience learn more about you and your work?
The easiest way is through social media. Ruben Alvarez. If you can't find me through Ruben Alvarez on Google, the Brand Shark is the alias that has been created for me. I have a book. Well, I have 2 books that are collaborative projects. Brand Sharks Volume 1, Brand Sharks Volume 2. It talks a lot about the branding, the concepts, the fundamentals, and basically how people should really look at marketing in this new age.
And are there any tools that you would recommend for someone starting out to take advantage of?
A lot of Audible, a lot of marketing books. One of the best books I've ever read that I think that everybody should get started on is Attention Merchants. And it really talks about how when big companies were going to fall, how they maneuvered to make sure that they didn't. And even a lot of these political leaders, how they kept and maintained the attention to rise to where they were.
Wow, wonderful. Well, Ruben, I greatly appreciate your sitting with us today and sharing your knowledge and expertise in the field that is so important to businesses across the spectrum. My name is Wayne Diggs. I've been your host today. Again, I'm assistant faculty for business at the Rio Grande campus here at El Paso Community College, and it has been a pleasure. Look forward to working with you and hosting other sessions in the future.